everyone. Thank you for coming to the meeting of the Minnehaha County Commission. We'll go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, before we get started, I'd like to do a shout out to the Brandon Valley High School football team that won the state football championship this weekend. So Minnehaha County's had a lot of success in high school sports. I think all of us are thrilled that we got through a soccer season and a football season with kids still in school, and volleyball's this weekend. So thanks again to all of our educators. They've done a great job of keeping school in session, and we know that's a great thing for our kids, so thank you. All right, so we have meeting documents available for review next to Commissioner Heiberger. Please remember to silence your cell phone, and Craig is here this morning if you need a listening device. That takes us to routine business and consider a motion to amend the agenda to remove item 19, an item to authorize the chair to sign an agreement with Geotech Engineering and Testing Services for soil testing at the Highway Department.
Move for approval, Benninga.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Barth,
Aye.
Benega,
Aye.
Heiberger,
Aye.
Karski,
Aye.
and
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And now entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Benega,
Aye.
Heiberger,
Aye.
Karski,
Aye.
Barth,
Aye.
Bender.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item is item 2, to approve the commission meeting minutes for November 10th, 2020.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Heiberger,
Aye.
Karski,
Aye.
Barth,
Aye.
Benega,
Aye.
Bender.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item are bills to be paid in the amount of $4,219,343.07.
Move for approval.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments?
Madam Chair, Jeff here.
Commissioner Barth.
Well, as usual, we have a big payment here to the state for motor vehicle fees of $3.5 million. We have $306,000 going to the libraries, and we also have birth fees we pay the state when people are born in our county of $4,570, and death fees of $13,540. So it's nothing's free. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I think the mothers in the room were definitely, well, I guess the fathers too, agreeing that birth is not free. None of that was free. So, all right. So we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Karski,
Aye.
Barth,
Aye.
Benega,
Aye.
Heiberger,
Aye.
Bender.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item 4, reports. We have the Minnehaha County Register of Deeds Statement of Revenue for October and the Minnehaha County Highway Monthly Construction Report update. So both worth reviewing, so we appreciate those folks providing those reports. Next item are personnel actions. I'd consider a motion to approve routine personnel actions.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Barth,
Aye.
Benega,
Aye.
Heiberger,
Aye.
Karski,
Aye.
Bender.
Aye. Thank you very much. Item 6, abatements. There are none. Item 7, there's a notice from the South Dakota Health Department of disinternment permit issued for the remains of Bertha Coleman. I'd entertain a motion to approve that.
Motion to
So
approve.
moved.
So a motion and a
Second.
second. Roll call vote, please.
Barth,
Aye.
Benega,
Aye.
Hiberger,
Aye.
Horstky,
Aye.
Bender.
Aye. Thank you very much. Item 8, planning and zoning notices, there are none. Item 9, petition for compromise of lien, there are none. So this takes us to opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone here today for public comment? Thought there might be somebody here today, but not seeing anyone, so that takes us to regular business. First item, item 10, is a brief presentation from the Family Visitation Center. Jolene Thompson and Carol Wolter. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Jolene Thompson. I'm the Director of Services at the Family Visitation Center. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to come and fill you in on Family Visitation Center's 21st year. The last 8 months have felt like 8 years for most of us, and I think that goes without saying for everyone. We started ramping up for the pandemic. As soon as we heard about it, started making our changes, those kinds of things. And I'm happy to say we never actually closed our doors entirely. We did move to Zoom visits during the pandemic for a period of time, which creates issues in and of itself, as I'm sure you've all done the Zoom thing. When you're doing Zoom with 4 or 5 kids all vying for a parent's attention on a small screen, or trying to chase a 15-month-old around so that the other parent can see them, it's not always ideal, but at least they got to lay eyes on their children, and kids got to see their parents and their family members and those kinds of things. So while it was a good thing, we were happy to be able to open our doors. I really thought when we reopened our doors to in-person visits that we would have that 10 to 12% of early adopters that were like, yeah, we're back in. And then people would just gradually come back to us. And I had 2 families that said no. So they were done with Zoom visits also. And I think they knew the need for families to sit together and have a meal together, snuggle on the couch and read a book and those kinds of things. So we have put a lot of practices in place. We have changed things probably more in the last 8 months than I have in the 8 years that I've been there. So it's taught us a lot. I think the thing that it taught us the most was how important that need is for children and families to physically connect. You know, you hear all the stories about the nursing homes and those kinds of things, and we see that firsthand. We saw kids not be able to, you know, run to their parents and give them a hug and those kinds of things. Even if it's just a weekly basis, it's still a big deal. So that need is there, continues to grow. We have seen an increase and an uptick in our private pay families in the last probably couple of months. We're doing where we used to do maybe 1 or 2 private pay intakes to bring new families in a week. We're now doing 1 to 2 a day to bring new families in. So the fact that we have a tiered system to move people through, that it's not a place to sit and live. We don't want you here for 2 or 3 years. We want you to figure things out and move on. But we also want to provide that space and that time for you to be able to do that while you're still seeing your children. And I think that's been very important. Our system of like, let's have a plan for what's going to look like once you leave Family Visitation Center. It has allowed us to keep a flow going so we don't sit with a long waiting list. Several years ago, we had a horribly long waiting list because people weren't leaving. And now that we've got a different system in place and they can move through our system, they can figure things out usually and come to a better co-parenting agreement, those kinds of things. It's just better for everyone. So that's been a big plus for us as we see the numbers and the need increase, and I think that will just continue. We've seen an increase, little bit of an increase right now we're seeing in just mental health issues. Mental health issues have always been something we've dealt with, but it's obviously a lot more right now. It's getting to be a little bit more than what it was before. So at the Family Visitation Center, we're up and going. We got hit financially, obviously, with the pandemic, and so We had some scary months there, and we're happy to say that because we have good supporters. Avera has always been a longstanding supporter of Family Visitation Center. We were birthed out of an idea by the Presentation Sisters themselves, and that's where our origination came from. And so they saw what we were going through and the impact it was having on us, and they did not want us to leave the community. And so they have stepped forward and taken us under their wing, and we are now, they have taken on all costs of our employees. So all of our employee costs are now under Avera. We were also blessed to move into an Avera building. And so we don't have that cost anymore. So we are now in an Avera building, and all of the money that we fundraise and that we get can now go to families, visitation, and making sure that they have a place to come, and that those costs continue to be offset for them to help over the overhead costs of all of those. So I would like to thank the commissioners for continuing to support us. It's been a wild year, but I think we're coming out stronger. We've learned a lot, and I would just like to thank you for your support. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you. Any questions this morning? Commissioner Heiberger.
I'll just make a comment, and what great work that the Family Visitation Center does, and we're thankful that you are a part of our community, and thankful that Avera was able to step out at a difficult time. I know you guys have been looking for a new building for a while, and so answered prayers that you got a bigger and better building for it, and parking. I've been there several times in your old building, and you're lucky if you could find a parking spot.
Yes.
So,
and now
I'm
you
glad-
can find a parking spot, so you're welcome to come and tour.
That's
Just have to
right.
wear your mask.
Yeah, yeah, great idea. I think I will have to come back over and see your new building. And so I'm just very thankful for what you do, and I'm thankful that the commission was able to recognize that a few years back and really step up and increase the funding that we give to the Family Visitation Center.
It is a huge blessing, and we're very grateful for it.
Thank you.
Thank
Other
you.
questions, comments? Well, thank you very much for taking the time to be with
Thank you.
us today.
Thank you
We
very much.
appreciate it. All right, that takes us to item 11, which is to authorize the chair to sign the 2021 Law Enforcement Services Agreement between Minnehaha County and the cities of Baltic, Crooks, Del Rapids, Garrettson, Hartford, Humboldt, and Valley Springs. Joe Bosman, good morning.
Commissioners, Joe Bosman with the Sheriff's Office. This morning I have in front of you is our annual renewal of our law enforcement services contract with the 8 communities that we provide law enforcement services for through the Sheriff's Office. Every time in the middle of the year, in the summer, we reevaluate the expenses that the Sheriff's Office generally incurs as providing a law enforcement service to these communities by taking a look at healthcare costs, fleet management, and fuel and all that stuff. We then communicate to the towns in the summer what we anticipate the hourly rate to be. That way they have time to prepare their budgets for the 2021 year. And also we can open that line of communication to say, is there any adjustments, any concerns, questions they might have throughout this process. Hearing none at this point, we are up for renewal of the contracts. And so I'm asking for the commission chairperson to sign the 8 contracts or agreements for law enforcement services with these communities.
Questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Benega,
Aye.
Heiberger,
Aye.
Karski,
Aye.
Barth,
Aye.
Bender.
Aye, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. That takes us to your next item, item 12, which is to authorize the Sheriff's Office to enter into an agreement with the Sioux Falls Regional Airport Authority to provide certified law enforcement officers at the airport terminal.
Yes, Commissioners, this is our renewal for law enforcement services that we provide to the Sioux Falls Regional Airport. We have an agreement with them that we provide certified law enforcement officers, and they in turn reimburse us for the hourly wages and any expenses that are incurred while providing those services. Things have been going very well out there. We appreciate the cooperation that we have with the Sioux Falls Regional Airport. So much that we have been, when we first started going a yearly contract renewal, things have been working out great, and we decided that we're going to go forward with a 2-year renewal in this case, that things have been working very smoothly. So we're excited to be part of this, be that face that people see when they come into Sioux Falls, either visiting, leaving, or returning, to see a Minnehaha County deputy at the airport.
Any questions?
Move for approval.
Second?
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Hiberger,
Aye.
Karski,
Aye.
Barth,
Aye.
Benega,
Aye.
Bender.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, that takes us to item 13, which is to consider a resolution to establish various speed zones within the Minnehaha County Highway System. DJ Boothie. Oh, you're here live and in person. Wow.
Morning, Commissioners. DJ Boothie, Highway Superintendent. Our speed zone ordinance, or speed zone resolutions, they're passed as a group every time that we update or add or eliminate one of the speed zones. We pass a resolution that includes every single one of the speed zones, just so we have a good current list. It's real similar to how we do our bridge limits. And so we've got two updates to the list with this resolution. The first one is east of Renberg School. There's an existing 45-mile-per-hour speed zone, and we're extending that east about 0.86 miles or 4,500 feet. And so that's going to extend east just past the Big Sioux River. And the other one is east of Baltic. As you're traveling westbound into Baltic, it goes from a 55-mile-per-hour speed zone to a 25-mile-per-hour speed zone. And they've had a lot of problems with people not slowing down as they come into town. So there's a little transition speed area that we have set up. It's 45 miles per hour, I believe, or 40 miles per hour, I'm sorry. So you'll go from 55 to 40 to 25 miles per hour as you come into Baltic from the west or from the east. And so with that, I'll entertain any questions that you might have about the speed zone resolution.
Any questions for DJ?
I have
Commissioner Heiberger.
one question. So, DJ, I'm not opposed to this, but I'm wondering why, I was looking through the different speeds and stuff, and even in this one of them is for 40 and one of them is for 45. What helps you determine why a 5 mile an hour? Because I'm thinking, oh, if they're all 45 or they're all 40, it's consistent in your brain and you do that. So what helps you determine the difference in the 40 or 45 or 35?
Sure, that's a great question. We do a speed study, and when we do the speed study, there's quite a few different things that we look at. One of them is called the 85th percentile speed, so not the maximum speed or the minimum speed, but the 85th percentile speed that most traffic is traveling. You usually base your speed zones on an existing road like this based off of that 85th percentile speed. So you can go, the standards say that you can go 5 miles per hour above or below that 85th percentile. And so that's one thing that we look at, and we always try to meet that requirement. And then the other thing is the curb radius. And so if you go down, or maybe I can go down, there we go. You can see towards the east of this one where there's that curve by the Big Sioux River. We look at sight distance too, and so like this one, there's a horizontal sight distance issue, and that plays into what speed zone we're setting. There's other things that we look at. The difference in speed, and the one east of Baltic is a good example of this. So we're going from 55 to 25 right now. That's obviously not a good gap, and so that's why we're implementing the 40, and that 40 is halfway in between 55 and 25. So
Thank you.
there's a few different things that we look at.
Thank
Mostly the 85th percentile speed.
Good explanation.
Other questions? DJ, I'm curious if you could just explain how you communicate if we change speed limits, how does that get communicated to the public that are driving and
Sure.
kind of have habits
We have our
developed?
digital message boards that we put out there, and we'll put them out there probably for about a week. And as soon as the resolution is passed, assuming that that's passed today, we'll put out message boards. That's the biggest thing that we do. We put it out on our Facebook page. We send out a news release sometimes if it's in a well-populated area or a really highly trafficked area. And then we also correspond with the Sheriff's Office.
Thank you. All right, any other questions? Not, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Karski,
Aye.
Barth,
Aye.
Benega,
Aye.
Hiberger,
Aye.
Bender.
Aye, motion passes unanimously. That takes us to item 14, which is to consider a motion to approve and authorize the chair to sign a purchase agreement to acquire right-of-way for Highway Project 17-10. DJ.
Commissioners, this is almost the last one that will be before you for this project. This is the reconstruction project that we're planning north of Hartford, south of Colton. And this is for gathering 100 feet of right-of-way corridor for that future project that we're going to be working on. This is the last right-of-way purchase that we intend on doing. And we've got one more temporary easement that we're going to have to execute until we're 100% done with all the land acquisition. But this one, I think, is for 0.07 acres or something like that, a very small parcel. Yeah, 0.07 acres. So I'll stand by if you have any questions.
Questions for DJ?
Move approval. Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Barth,
Aye.
Benega,
Aye.
Hiberger,
Aye.
Karski,
Aye.
Bender.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That takes us to item 15, which is to authorize the chair to sign the 2021 Bridge Improvement Grant Agreement for preliminary engineering on structure 50-087-120. I think we have three pretty similar items, different locations.
You're right. There's 3 items that are basically the same. They're all preliminary engineering bridge improvement grants that we were awarded from the State Department of Transportation. This program, this is the preliminary engineering grant, and so this brings us through the survey and the type, size, and location of the hydraulic study portion of the project. Will give us a preliminary design, and then after that, we'll move to a final design and construction project. This will hope, for all 3 of these will be completed in 2021. They wanted to get these awards out late 2020 so the engineering companies could do the surveying work, the field work, hopefully before the middle of winter. For this one, this is 50-087-120. This is just north of Hartford on a township road. The cost for this portion of the project is $40,000, and this is an 80-20 split. This grant program is, and so the county will be responsible for $8,000, and this is the state pays for everything, and then they bill us the $8,000 at the end of the project.
Questions for DJ?
Motion to approve.
The motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. DJ, I did have just one question. So how much involvement does the state have now that they've awarded the grant? Like, do you have to provide them all the preliminary work that we're approving today and then get the go-ahead, or they've kind of already blessed this project?
I'll speak to this one specifically, and I'll add a caveat that every grant or every project that we work with the state operates a little bit different. It just kind of depends on who their project manager is. So with this one, they've already given notice to proceed work orders to the consultants for these 3, so they could already start the survey work. And they did that knowing that the counties haven't executed these agreements yet, but I'm just guessing that it's unlikely that any of the county will be not accepting the grant. So in this case, the state is coordinating all of the work with the consultant, and then we attend the design meetings, and we have usually weekly or every 2 weeks we'll have meetings, and the state kind of oversees the project, but we work with the consultant to make sure that the project is designed and bid and built the way that meets our standards.
All right, thank you. All right, anything else? All right, we had a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Benega,
Aye.
Hiberger,
Aye.
Karski,
Aye.
Barth,
Aye.
Bender.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That takes us to item 16. Authorize the chair to sign the 2021 Bridge Improvement Grant Agreement for preliminary engineering on structure 50-237-120.
Commissioners, this is the same type of project as the last item. This is just northeast of Renner on a township road, and the county's portion on this project is $6,750.
Any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Hiberger,
Aye.
Karski,
Aye.
Barth,
Aye.
Benega,
Aye.
Bender.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Next item is item 17, is to authorize the chair to sign the, excuse me, 2021 Bridge Improvement Grant Agreement for preliminary engineering on structure 50-272-030.
Again, Commissioners, is the same as the previous two items. This one is on a township road east of Del Rapids, and the county's portion for this project is $6,125. That brings us to about a total between these three projects of just over $20,000 that we'll be paying for the preliminary engineering costs, and that's really extremely cheap for us to be able to do three project preliminary engineering contracts.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? Commissioner Heiberger.
So we're getting the preliminary engineering. When do you think that these bridges will be on the schedule to replace, repair, whatever, if we're doing these in 2021?
As of right now, none of these are in real critical condition, and so we don't want to accelerate the projects by taking this preliminary design and moving forward with just county funds and going into final design and construction. And so we will reapply for a new bridge improvement grant after these are done, so at the end of 2021. If they're successful, they could be done as early as probably 2023.
Okay, so a couple years yet.
Yep, for
Thank
sure.
you.
All right, thank you. Anything else? We had a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Karski.
Aye.
Barth.
Aye.
Benega.
Aye.
Heiberger.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye, motion passes unanimously.
Commissioner.
Thank you very much. That takes us to item 18, which is to authorize the auditor to purchase a used ballot tabulator machine for elections. Auditor Litz, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bob Litz from the Auditor's Office. Is it appropriate for me to take the mask off? Can you hear me okay?
You take it off.
You're socially distanced, but we can hear you fine.
Okay,
so.
all right, that's my main concern here today. You know, in the run-up to the last election that we had, we do testing of all the machines. And everything was performing fine until we did our last test, which was the Thursday before the election, and we had two machines go down, which caused a little bit of stress in our office. But anyway, the way it worked out was ES&S had a machine down in Omaha, which they brought up for us to use while they were repairing the one machine that had more extensive repairs, and then the other one we repaired on the spot. And so we used this machine, the loaner machine from ES&S, for our election, and it performed well. I got to thinking about, you know, a while back for that primary, it seemed like buying another DS850 would have been a good idea. And I think that the logic for buying another one still holds true. You know, I think that the redundancy of having the machines that are all alike in case one goes down is always a good thing to have. It's technology. Things do happen out there. You know, so to having not only something that's performing, but if we have to fall back onto three, that's going to be better than having two of them under a full-blown election. Also, having the population in Minnehaha County and the city of Sioux Falls going up, we're going to need this tabulator in the future. My estimation is probably another 10 or 12 years is what these things are going to be functional for. And I think that preparing for that is a good idea right now. So. That's kind of what's going on here. I provided you my have a fund account balance on a sheet in there, and that is currently at $386,777.50. The cost of this tabulator here, it's a used tabulator, but that will drop that amount by $98,500, I believe was the amount. And so I've provided the amount of have a funds. I've also provided a copy of the contract. I believe Drew put a header in there for that contract. And then there's also a process where the county pays for the machine, and then we submit to HAVA to draw down on those funds. And I have that example of that in there as well. So I'm here asking for the action I'm asking for today is to make the purchase and submit a claim to the Secretary of State's office for the reimbursement for the cost of the tabulator back to the county now. So I'm here for questions you might have.
Questions for the auditor? Commissioner Karski.
Will this be your fourth tabulating?
That's correct, and they'll be all the DS850s, okay? Now, they've got a new generation of 850s, of course, called the 950s, which they claim are compatible, but that sometimes those claims have not been the practical way things turn out. So I think there's some value in staying with the 850.
Heiberger?
Will you use that fourth tabulator and not just put it in the closet for a backup?
Oh, no, it'll be active, absolutely. Yeah, no, it'll be used. There's no doubt about that.
Commissioner Benega?
Bob and I talked about this last week, I think it was. I think it's frankly a good insurance policy for us to have that fourth unit and at a discount without having to ship the other one back. Having 2 out of the 3 literally go down a few days before the election, one being repaired, the other one being substituted by a loaner, I think it needs to be a process that we protect ourselves in the future, and I don't see any technology huge advances in the near future, so I think instead of waiting and we get a discount, we have the ability to use the state funds that are set aside. We haven't used them since what year?
Well, some of them are still there from 2004.
Okay, so for quite a few years, we haven't done any upgrades, so I think it's time to protect ourselves.
Any other comments or questions? Commissioner Karski?
Where do you store these, Bob?
Right now, they are across the street in, which is referred to as the Extension Building. I call it the Election Center, of course, and we've got I took and made 4 special rooms. I got some kind of pricey door locks up there, and we put them on 4 rooms up there because, you know, we were working out of there a lot for this election. And that's where they're at right now. And I would also tell you that I have a recount starting this Friday at 9 o'clock. You guys want to stop by and see a recount, you can certainly do that, but bring coffee because it's not that exciting.
Any other questions? Those are all great questions.
I would make a motion to approve.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any other comments? Roll call vote, please.
Barth,
Aye.
Benega,
Aye.
Heiberger,
Aye.
Karski,
Aye.
Bender.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you,
very
Commissioners.
much for being here this
Okay,
morning.
anything else? I have not spoken to you since the election. Would you like me to schedule something in that regard so we can talk about some things, or are you good?
I think that, you know, people are always interested in your perspective on the election. It seemed like it went quite well from our perspective, but if you have comments that you'd like to provide, we are always open to hearing from you.
No, I'm good. I just wanted to address that and make sure that there weren't any questions from this body.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate seeing you, and welcome back.
Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, thanks, Commissioner.
All right, so that takes us to item 20, which is to consider the following regarding the Minnehaha County gravel pit, record number 93053, located at 46686 263rd Street, Ellis, South Dakota. Craig Dewey, good morning.
Good morning, Craig Dewey, Commission Office. The commission currently owns an unmined gravel pit that is immediately adjacent to the law enforcement shooting range. Work has been undertaken this year to separate out the unmined portion of the gravel pit from the law enforcement shooting range so that the unmined gravel pit could be surplused and sold. So the motion before you today is a resolution to declare the gravel pit land surplus. The law enforcement shooting range would remain in possession of the county, and the commission office has been working with the sheriff's office to draft language to ensure that the law enforcement shooting range could continue to operate after the gravel pit would be sold. And so that language would be brought forward to you in a deed here in the coming weeks for the commission. And the language has been agreed to with input from the sheriff and reviewed by the state's attorney's office. But the motion today is just to declare the unmined gravel pit surplus, and then you provided direction that you would like to utilize one of the 3 methods available of property disposal, being the auction under state law. And so I have visited with Weeman Auction on multiple occasions, and they have had a number of auctions that have piled up for them at the end of this calendar year. There was a desire expressed by the commission to sell the gravel pit in 2020. Weeman Auction would have dates available on January 8th or the following week if we would like them to conduct the auction. If you would have a preference regarding January 8th, which is a Friday, or Wednesday, January 13th, I can certainly follow up with Kevin Weeman. He's the person who I've spoken with, and he's worked with the county in the past regarding the auction.
I don't suppose you know which one of those days it's going to be 65 and sunny.
You know what, if I could predict the weather with that accuracy, I'd be in a different business.
I'm going to predict it's January 8th. I got married on the 7th, and it was 45 and beautiful, so I'm going to predict it's the 8th. I would make a motion to consider declaring the property surplus to be sold at auction.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments? Commissioner Karski.
Two things this does is it gives the county operating money. We're in the middle of some construction projects to buy down the borrowing costs, but it also puts a property on the on the property tax rolls that has never been there, because once this is sold, we start collecting property taxes on it. Plus, you got the extraction tax for the gravel and sand that's going to be mined out of there. So there's a lot of very good reasons for taking this action. So I'm all for it.
Thank you. It's a great explanation, too. Appreciate that. All right, anything else? All right, roll call vote, please.
Benega?
Aye.
Hiberger?
Aye.
Karski?
Aye.
Barth?
Aye.
Bender?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right, the next item is to consider a motion to approve the sale of the surplus property by auction on December 2020? No, that was on my agenda. Do we not need to do that today, Craig? Sorry.
No, that ended up being combined with the resolution here, so that second action is not necessary.
Okay. Commissioner Heiberger?
Do we have to amend? Because I did specifically just say part of it, so does that matter? Because I just read the consider motion to declare property surplus to be sold at auction, and I did not say anything about sale, I don't think. Oh, yeah, it is. I guess it does kind of count. We didn't set the date. Does that matter?
No, it does not. In the past, when a property has been declared surplus, even the method of sale has been left to be determined before. In this case, you knew which method of sale you'd like to use, but we're still in the process of setting the date. So,
I will make another comment. I guess I didn't say sale of property. I just said declare surplus to be sold, so maybe that does work. Okay, I will be quiet now. Commissioner Benega.
Commissioner Benega?
Following up on the date conversation, does it really need to be in there? What happens if in January we do have 2 feet of snow and the auction company also is backed up in the number of sales that they're going to have? Can we move it back if we leave the date open?
the resolution does not set the date. A date is not listed in the auction. I was merely mentioned the date just to get some input from you. So
Okay,
the
so-
date has yet to be set. And Weeman Auction did indicate that they're trying to be very cautious with COVID,
Sure.
as you indicated, and so they're really trying to distance out some of the different auctions that they're holding, which is why they couldn't hold the auction in December, even though it had previously been indicated by them that their schedule was open.
Line is we do have flexibility in the date.
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anything else? All right, thank you. That takes us to item 21. Well, we didn't vote. I just sent an email to the state's attorney to see whether we have a problem that we have an item on the agenda that we didn't actually take separate action on. And so I'm just wondering if we should
Madam Chair?
Yes, thank you, Maggie. Hi.
Hi. Madam Chair, I think that I think you had earlier stated that there didn't need to be any action on subpart B, and I think that's correct. I don't think that you necessarily have to take any action since, as someone articulated, the two were combined. So, I mean, I think at this point, the sum is that as you've determined that they were combined, I think that if the alternative was present where something wasn't taken care of, then you'd have to take action on that agenda item. But since it was combined, I think it's fine.
Perfect. Thank you for bailing me out. I appreciate you attending via Zoom, so thank you. All right, so we are done with item 20, and we are going to move on to item 21, which is a briefing on our favorite subject, COVID-19. Carol Muller.
Good morning, Commissioners. Carol Muller, Minnehaha County Commission Office. Just reminding people that COVID hasn't gone away in the county either, as it hasn't in the state or in the city of Sioux Falls. Staff, you did put in place 3 weeks ago, I believe, about that all staff should be wearing masks if they're not at their assigned workstation, distanced from people. And that has gone pretty well. I think staff has been very attentive to paying attention to that. And I can only speak for the admin building, but when I look at the cameras, I note that there's by far the majority of people who come in from the public are wearing masks. It's definitely the minority who are not wearing any masks that are out there. We do, of course, continue to monitor, both as the commission and as staff in the county, paying attention to what's happening. At any point, we have probably between 10 to 15% of our staff that is out with COVID at any given time. Some departments have been hit hard, have been cycled through, and we've seen some departments this week starting to come back a little bit, but we recognize that, and again, encouraging people to make sure that we set the example and we don't interact closely with people, and we pay attention to that. So, anything else, Chairperson?
Thank you. I really just ask that this be on the agenda. I think sometimes the public thinks that we aren't paying attention to it anymore if we don't talk about it, and that is not the case. You know, I want people to know that our Emergency Operations Center is back and meeting on a weekly basis. We do pay attention to it. I mean, and I think every business owner in our area has to pay attention to it, because we are not unique in the level of absenteeism that we are experiencing for folks that are either actually diagnosed or folks that are needing to quarantine, and that can be really challenging. You know, we had a department had one person here for part of last week, and that is difficult. And so we all really appreciated all the freedoms that we had, and particularly this summer, we were able to do a lot of things that people around the nation weren't able to do. But just like any of us who raise teenagers and help them to understand that with freedom comes responsibility, and we all have responsibility to do our best to try to make sure that the hospitals have adequate staff and beds to care for those who really need it, and that we are doing our part to do all the things that, you know, kind of have been beat into us, and we tend to kind of want to ignore them again. But as somebody said in our church, you know, every day just strive to do one of those things a little bit better, and all of them together help to control the spread. But we're at a 59% positivity rate in Sioux Falls right now, according to the Sioux Falls website. And so that's significant, and you do need to stay home if you're sick. I don't think that's a real South Dakota work ethic kind of thing. None of us, you know, want to be a shirker and stay home because they have a sniffle that would not have kept them out of work before. But a lot of people that I've known, those are the symptoms they had for COVID, were cold-like symptoms, and it wasn't until somebody else in their family tested positive that they went in and realized that that's what they were dealing with as well. So stay home if you're sick, wash your hands until they're raw, which just seems to be my approach to it. And, you know, wear a face covering if you can't be socially distanced from folks. And, you know, do what you can to stop the spread, and then do what you can to encourage the folks around you, because this has taken an emotional toll on people. And those consequences, those mental health consequences, are equally significant. And so it's a real delicate balance that all of us need to pay attention to. And I encourage people, I've done it before, go out to the Sioux Falls COVID-19 site, gives lots of great information so that you can stay up to date on, you know, where things are in our community and what you can do to try to affect that positively. So, all right, that's my little sermon for today.
Jeff,
Commissioner Barth.
I'd like to just make a comment about this as well. You know, if we all pull together for 2 weeks, for 2 months, we can get over this without having the incredible problems we've already experienced. I'm afraid that at the current rate, we may have 1,000 people dead in South Dakota by Thanksgiving, much less by Christmas. And let's see if we can't work together to make this thing go away. We've got the vaccines coming. And, you know, clearly it's not something that needs to be enforced by law enforcement, but it's something that we can do together, the right thing to bring this to an end.
All right, Commissioner Heiberger.
I'm going to piggyback on Jeff and that, and you said it right. If we would just pull together, we wouldn't have to have the City of Sioux Falls mandate. Just pull together and do your part, and then no one will force you to do it. And I agree. I don't want to see law enforcement arresting people because they don't have a mask on.
Anything else? All right. Well, thank you very much. That takes us to item 22, liaison reports. Are there liaison reports this morning? Commissioner Heiberger.
I just have kind of an announcement. The governor's office has requested that I serve on the Council of Juvenile Services. And so when I get my paperwork signed and sent back in, which I should do this week, I will become a member of that Council of Juvenile Services.
Congratulations. Thank you for that service. You've spent a lot of time working on juvenile service issues, and much to the great benefit of people in Minnehaha County, so thank you. Other liaison reports this morning? I would just note that I'm the liaison to the Sheriff's Department, and last week we had a meeting with a couple of Lincoln County commissioners and the Lincoln County Sheriff. As you all probably know, they had a measure on their ballot about building a new jail, which was voted down, and so we had a really great discussion about kind of backtracking to where we had been as we were talking about building our jail, and we are working on whether we need to fine-tune the agreement, but that basically that we would agree to continue to house Lincoln County's inmates, which we have been doing. They will pay our costs, so it's a cost-neutral situation, and I think really it's in the best interest of Sioux Falls Police Department, all the citizens of Sioux Falls, and the citizens of Lincoln County and Minnehaha County for us all to work collaboratively on that effort. Operating a jail is even harder than building a jail, and so I really appreciate all the work that the Sheriff's Department and particularly the warden do in operating our jail in a very safe manner, providing high quality medical care to the folks there, and I think that that will really benefit the folks in Lincoln County, plus all the measures that we've taken in justice reform to keep the population down and to make sure that we're only having folks in jail that that need to be in jail to protect other people for their safety. All right. Any other liaison reports? Seeing none. New business? Any new business? Any old business? All right, I'd take a motion to recess the Minnehaha County Commission meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please. Olivia?
Sorry, I had to get unmuted.
Oh, that's okay.
Heiberger,
Aye.
Karski,
Aye.
Barth,
Hi.
Benega,
Aye.
Bender.
Aye, motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. We'll recess about 10 minutes till 10 o'clock. Thank you. Thanks, Olivia.